In this video, we're going to talk about exporting and publishing your new Muse website. Now, when you export, you'll see that you can open up HTML files if you do an export to desktop option. What you need to know about this, however, is that if you try to edit those files in HTML, and you can edit them, they will not be updated in Muse. So if you make any additional changes, you need to update it within Muse as well. It's really a one-way street. The other thing you need to know is that you can host with Adobe, but you don't have to. You can use Adobe Business Catalyst, or you can choose any web hosting company that you like, and you would set up your site so that you would load it through your FTP site, and then it would go live that way. So just like you would any other normal website, you would export the HTML and then upload it via FTP to whatever your server is. If you publish with Adobe, they make it very easy to do. You don't have to know how to FTP anything up. It just automatically gets published and pushed live up onto their server. You should also know that your updates are going to be quicker with them as well, because Muse keeps track of those updates, and when you publish with Adobe Business Catalyst as your server, it just updates those particular files and your site is immediately updated, and that's really all you have to do. It doesn't get any easier than that. If you publish elsewhere, if you use, let's say, GoDaddy hosting, for example, you're going to have to manually export the entire site and then upload all those files to your FTP site. Now, if you've done website publishing before, that's pretty standard practice, but you should just know that that's how that's going to work with Muse as well if you're not using Business Catalyst. If you want the easiest option, you would go with Adobe Hosting and Business Catalyst. Now, there's some good news about that. You can publish a temporary website on Adobe Hosting Platform for free for like a 30-day trial period. So I really like that, because if you're trying to send out a client, let's say a client send out a link for a client to view, you can do that for free for 30 days. All sites with the trial mode are going to include the businesscatalyst.com in it. So it'd be like something.businesscatalyst.com. You're going to have a subdomain there. But it's nice. I mean, you publish immediately, you send it right up to your client to view, and they can view it on their live site. So it's pretty convenient in that sense too. So even if you just take advantage of it as a stage server or as a development server, that's going to be pretty nice. If you pay them then for the hosting monthly, you can transfer your own domain name, and then you would remove the businesscatalyst.com subdomain. So you would just be like any other website that you would have. But you do get that 30-day trial, and then you can choose to like make the payment to then host it with Adobe. Even better is if you purchased a Creative Cloud membership on or before 4/30/15. That's the Creative Cloud one, which includes all the applications. That plan includes hosting for up to 5 basic websites. If you purchased an Adobe Muse Creative Cloud single application, like just Muse, you didn't buy all the applications, Photoshop and Illustrator and all that, that plan includes hosting for 1 basic website. So you may already have hosting available to you as part of your either Creative Cloud membership or Muse Creative Cloud purchase. Let's talk a little bit about some resources here before we get too far. These are some resources that I found to be particularly helpful when I was getting up to speed with Muse. So we've got tutorials from Adobe specifically, and the Muse FAQ pages from Adobe are really, really helpful. Lynda.com has always been my go-to service for teaching. Now, that is not a free resource. It's worth every penny as far as I'm concerned. I lean very heavily on it to get up to speed, and you'll notice some stuff even within this presentation that was based out of some of the things that I've learned from lynda.com. So I highly recommend Lynda. Not only do they have real basic tutorials, but they have tutorials about everything you could possibly imagine. So even if you're interested beyond Muse, they have everything for the Creative Cloud. They also have just business development courses and all kinds of things. So top notch, highly recommended. Some other sites I found useful was Paul Tranny. He's a senior Adobe evangelist. He's got his own website here, and he's got a specific Muse category that you might find helpful. And a couple other third-party sites that I found: Muse for You, which is a YouTube channel, and Muse Starter Design Template Resources. That's from Adobe, and we had shown those in a previous video. when we had talked previously about widgets for Muse, there's a wide market available out there for you. There's a couple of sort of, I call them free-ish because they're free with a social share, and you can get Muse widgets and themes and tutorials here at musefree.com. And then there's quite a few paid resources too. These were the ones that I saw that looked the most fleshed out and seemed reasonably priced for what you're going to get. So you've got resources.muse.adobe.com, and that is kind of like the Adobe sanctioned Muse resources, including widgets and themes. And then also if you go to muse-themes.com, they have 150 or more professionally developed Muse widgets. Now I have not used those yet. It just looked like they were well vetted. So I would say just checking those out. Thank you for this. If you have any questions, you can always catch me at CPOG, or you can email me cpogmanager@gmail.com, and I will try to get back to you with any questions. Let's take a look here before we leave at how Muse exports files. Now, right now I'm in the planning mode here of Muse, and I wanted to go back and show you this because we had discussed the different hosting options, but just so that you get a sense of where they are within the program of Muse. So we've got upload to FTP host, publish to Business Catalyst, or export to HTML, and they're right under your file menu. Now I'm not going to do any of this because I don't have an FTP host set up for this at this time, nor a Business Catalyst account. And exporting to HTML, it's just as simple as exporting it. It'll land on wherever you save it. Usually it's your desktop, and then you would FTP it up yourself. So you can upload it directly to your FTP host if you know your settings, and you just want to shoot it right up to your server, or you can export it as HTML if you want to look at the files or whatever you might want to do with it, or you want to do it manually later. But Business Catalyst, that's the one I would recommend. Now I don't have statistics on their uptime or anything like that, so I can't say that they're going to be the best as far as server quality goes. I just don't have that information. But as far as ease of publishing with Muse, hands down, that's going to be your best bet. All right, so that concludes our getting up to speed with Muse. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. That's where I'm going to be the most responsive. That'd be at CPAUG, C-P-A-U-G, on Twitter. And I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.